At least it's better than F9. These movies, man. I don't know why I keep watching them. What's up, team? It is me, Vogel, and today I'm going to be talking about Fast X, or as some people call it, Fast 10, which is weirdly the 11th movie in the series, so, you know, do what you want with that. But before we get into the review, please hit the like button down below if you enjoy the video, and subscribe, it really helps the channel out. In this movie, we start with a flashback to the climax of Fast 5, the best movie of the franchise, and I will die on that hill. This is arguably the best part of the film for that reason. I also love in the movie where it uses, when it does this flashback, it uses a title card, and it will use more in the film, which looks like a font from Die Hard 4. It's really odd. But basically the movie opens, but it shows us the events of Fast 5 from the view of the bad guys, where we're also introduced to Dante, who's played expertly in this film by Jason Momoa. Like, chef's kiss. He's going almost full Joker levels of crazy in this film. After this, the movie begins with a classic Toretto barbecue, with Roman taking the lead with a heist in Rome. Makes sense. Roman. A note I literally wrote while I was watching this film, I was, making some notes for the prompts for this review. I wrote a note down of, gotta have those Coronas. Because, yep, they sure as shit do have Coronas in this movie. But anyway, they do this heist, and things go sideways after Dom and Letty have an unexpected house guest. This splits up the gang, and then we have to endure 4 separate storylines that, you would hope that by the end of the movie they'll get back together. They do not. They are saving that for the next one, just to mess with you. I'm going to say this right now. I'm sick of these kind of cliffhanger endings. Some cliffhangers are fine. You think Empire Strikes Back, you think the new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but those are good because those movies are their own complete narrative. There's a tight story there. This is literally a story that's just cut in half into 2 movies. I also made a note while I was watching this that there is more unbelievable tech in this movie than a Mission Impossible movie. I wrote the script a wee while ago and I can't remember what I was referring to, but yeah, like, these movies have basically decided we're not just Point Break, but with cars, we are like full-on Mission Impossible, Marvel-esque type movies. So anyway, I'm going to talk about some lowlights and then I'm going to talk about some highlights, because even a bad movie like this has some good moments that I'm a bit of a sucker for. But we'll start with the bad first so we can end on a positive. The first thing I got to say, why is this movie not called Fasten Your Seatbelts? We've had some bangers from this franchise. We had Too Fast, Too Furious. We had The Fate of the Furious, which, chef's kiss. Brilliant. So why? Why would you waste that? I also noted, because I watched F9 maybe about several months before I watched this one, so it's pretty fresh, but John Cena's character completely changes in it. He was this real rugged, completely serious, no-nonsense character. In this one, he's very much a jovial, making jokes kind of character. Like, it's a complete 180. They did something similar with The Rock, but I still think The Rock has some level of that seriousness that his character originally had, whereas this guy just a completely different character. Also, John Cena's character, which I think is Jacob. I'm gonna assume it's Jacob, and please leave a comment if I've got that wrong. He's a super soldier now. Like, I get it. Universal has decided that they don't have any big movie franchise to compete with Marvel, so they've made that the Fast and Furious series. And there's some fun action scenes, but it's just bullshit. Like, it is complete nonsense. Entertaining, but it is not like the best. Similarly, Dom has also become a super soldier. I guess they've all taken super soldier serum in between movies, because at one point he literally lifts and flips a car like you would in Halo. So, yeah, ridiculous. The final lowlight note I have here is that there's a scene in the movie where John Cena's Jacob character throws Little B, which is Dom's son, short for Little Brian, into Dom's car, and the note I wrote was, "This looks properly stupid." So, you know, like, you got to know what you're getting into with these films. But as I said, I do have some positives to say. So Jason Momoa's performance is easily the biggest highlight in the film. He does such a good job playing this just deranged lunatic villain type thing. Like, it gives kind of Joker vibe, but distinct enough to not just be the Joker from Batman. But watching this, I would believe Jason Momoa could pull off the Joker from Batman. He did such a good job that even I remember in the there was media around at the time where apparently Vin Diesel was getting into a bit of an online feud with him because he overshadowed him. Vin Diesel is a bit of a diva. I'm sorry, but he is. I also really liked the Rome heist. I thought that was well choreographed. Gets a little bit ridiculous at the end, but, you know, since Furious 7, which is when I think the series should have ended, I've just come to expect that. Yeah, there's scenes in the movie where the car's CGI looks a little fake, and that's a big thing in modern movies that really bugs me, is when, you know, explosions or car physics just look stupid. I had the same problem with Black Widow when I watched that. It just looked fake, and so that's always something that did mark this down a little. But the Rome scene in general is pretty good. I also really enjoyed the aesthetic of the agency in that scene with Brie Larson and Alan Ritchson, currently famous for his Reacher series on Amazon Prime. Hashtag not sponsored. I thought they also did really well together, and I liked the vibe of that whole room. Other scenes in the movie I really enjoyed. I liked there's a bit where there's a drag race and the camera kind of pans through all 4 of the windows of the 4 races. It's lining up, like it kind of just moves through them and shows you the 4 races. I thought that was very good cinematography there. I really enjoyed that shot. This isn't a spoiler because everyone knows at this point who actually cares, but The Rock makes a cameo in one of the post-credits scenes. And I mean, I think these movies are stupid. It's pretty clear by this point in this review. Even I got hyped when he had the line, "I ain't hard to find, you some bitch." Like, I was like, yes! So, will I watch the next one? Probably because of that. I won't see it in cinema, but I will watch it at some point. But now it's time for some stats and trivia. This movie cost $340 million to make. That is a stupidly high budget. Of that $340 million, apparently 100 of it just went to the cast, with Vin Diesel alone getting $20 million. I mean, good for him, but that is crazy. Like, that just feels like he's pulling a scam on Hollywood. But, you know, some of that was just the recent trend in Hollywood of more money makes more money, which is just nonsense with movies at the moment. It seems to be going the opposite direction. Some of that was also due to filming around COVID, so, you know, some of the bump was understandable. But I haven't seen the creator, but I've heard good things. But from what I understand, that movie costs like less than $100 million to make, and it looks amazing. So it is possible to make movies like this for less money. They just aren't. Justin Lin also co-wrote this and was signed on as director. He's directed a few of the previous films. He did Tokyo Drift. He did Fast and Furious, the 4th one, Fast 5, and Furious 6. That makes sense to me because I did see some elements of those movies in here being my favorite ones of the franchise. Not so much Tokyo Drift, but the 4, 5, and 6. I thought that's where it was kind of at its peak. So you could see elements of him in there. However, he left 1 week into filming over creative differences, which is code for Vin Diesel was being his classic diva self. So that was a bit of a shame. I think Vin Diesel may have made this a worse movie by getting rid of Justin Lin as director. But hey, so I've already said this a couple of times, but for those of you who don't know, Vin Diesel is a huge diva on films. Apparently the only person to keep him in check was Paul Walker because they were good friends, and he kind of reined him back. But without Paul Walker, who's, you know, sadly passed away, this has just caused Vin Diesel to kind of go off the rails with these, which is I suspect why Justin Lin left. And apparently that cost Universal $1 million a day with him walking off because they had to pause the filmmaking. So yeah, it's crazy how much money Vin Diesel is making and costing Hollywood. This should, to be clear, I feel like I'm roasting him. I don't actually dislike him as an actor. He is just one of those actors who you have to accept he is a massive diva. Ironically, so is The Rock. That's why they had big falling outs over these films. But it's good to see The Rock back. Anyway, I'm getting totally distracted. I've gone completely off script. As of August 9th, that is probably when I wrote this, awkward, the movie has grossed $719 million worldwide. That sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But the estimates say that to turn a profit, they need to make $800 to $850 million because of that ridiculous $340 million budget. That also comes into, normally those budgets don't account for marketing, and general rule, most people would say a movie's got to make more than double its budget because you double it for marketing costs. But this, apparently they spent even more than that. So I would say this movie was a bomb. It's not out of place in 2023. Apparently, most movies lost a lot of money last year, and I do worry about the industry. But, you know, we saw great stuff with Five Nights at Freddy's, which was, you know, someone called it a PG-13 horror, and I think that's pretty fair. But the budget was so low, and it made a ton of money because of all the fans. If studios set realistic budgets, I think they will make money. So hopefully this will start teaching them some lessons. But overall, I had more fun watching this movie than I did F9. I really hated F9. As I said before, it should have ended with Furious 7. So at the end of these, I'm going to do a should this movie exist from like a kind of artistic creative space. And I would say no for this one. Anyway, thanks for joining me. As I said at the start, if you liked the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up down below. And subscribe if you're enjoying the videos. Until next time, bye!